Hello, here we are again. Welcome back to my channel and our Simple Abundance year. This is our journey through Sarah Von Braunach's book, Simple Abundance, talking all about her principles this year: joy, harmony, beauty, order, simplicity, and gratitude. I told you guys I was really excited about this entry. It's August 22nd, 2020. And I have to admit that after I read it again, this is not the entry that I was thinking of. It's actually tomorrow's entry, which is more of an analysis on it. But I will still let you know about what this is, and I think there's still a bit to think about it as we sort of let it marinate overnight and then discuss it a little bit further tomorrow. So yesterday, I was talking about one of the August Joyful Simplicities, which is to go to the library or wherever you can get books right now and revisit some of your favorite stories from the past. Now, when you think about that, I didn't actually even mention, aside from maybe the Narnia books yesterday, I didn't really mention fairy tales. Like, you might have some favorite fairy tales that you remember growing up. I did say Beauty and the Beast quickly yesterday about, as an aside to a comment that I made. But you might have certain fairy tales that you remember reading all the time and remembering the characters and remembering sometimes that there was like a larger message in the story too, right? Some of those fables, I guess you could call them, some of them have lessons to teach us or things that stick with us even as we grow up. When you think about, like, I'm thinking about like Hansel and Gretel and, you know, being greedy about the candy and things like that. I have a kitty here that wants to talk to us, I guess. So today's entry, Sarah, oh, she just licked my leg. It tickled. Today's entry, Sarah talks to us about, there's a big long part of it about the story of Rumpelstiltskin and the miller's daughter. You guys remember this story? I have to say that my memory of it is mostly about her trying to figure out what his name was. I think that's like the main thing and the urgency of it, when he comes to her a couple of times and helps her out. And then she's so desperate at the end that she says, like, okay, you can have my firstborn child. And then the only way that she can get out of that is if she figures out what his name is. And it's really a pretty unique name, right? So Sarah calls this entry Spinning Straw into Gold. And the reason for that, and if you've forgotten this part of the story, the miller's daughter is locked away, and her task that she's given is that she's supposed to spin straw into gold. And I think, I'm forgetting now the beginning of it, I think it's because her father told the king that she could do it, you know? So it's like, what a position to be in. And how interesting that she's totally desperate for spinning straw into gold, and then this little man appears and he's able to do it. Like, that sort of ties into the synchronicity angel sort of, although I don't think Rumpelstiltskin was really an angel. He was more of a villain, right? But anyway, it ties into somebody showing up right when in the moment of need for something. Very unique in the case of this story. Like, how many people can spin straw into gold, right? Sarah makes that into a sort of a life metaphor here too, as she starts off the entry by saying, next to knowing what to do with a few loaves and fishes, remember we talked about that, knowing how to spin straw into gold is probably the most important talent a woman can possess. It can make the difference between living a life of lack and living one of simple abundance. Gratefully, this mystical gift was bestowed upon all of us. What do you think about that? What do you think she means by that? Spinning straw into gold. Do you think that she's talking about, like, when life gives you lemons, you make lemonade? Is that what you guys think? She says, but like any other talent, alchemy, the ability of transforming nothing into something, must be called forth. treasured, owned, respected, and nurtured. Now, when I was reading that earlier, I was thinking like, well, the miller's daughter was not turning nothing into something. She was turning something into something better. So again, like the lemons and the lemonade, maybe. Oh no, maybe you don't like lemonade, but you know what I mean. It wasn't like it was nothing. What do you think Sarah's saying by that? She doesn't actually really tell us in this entry. Like I said, there's going to be more about the story tomorrow. And that's the entry that I was remembering more than today's. Today's is basically like a page and a half of it is the actual story. I'm not going to read it out loud because it would probably take 5 or 8 minutes. But I'm sure you probably remember the story of Rumpelstiltskin. She does do it justice with a very nice retelling of it in her words. So if you get a chance, that is on pages 365 and 366. She closes this entry by saying, stories are embedded with instructions which guide us about the complexities of life. I forgot to read the little entry. There's always a quote at the beginning, and it's from Clarissa Pinkola Estes. She was a psychoanalyst, a spoken word artist, and an American author, and she had a thought about stories in general. Stories are medicine, she tells us. They have such power. They do not require that we do, be, or act on anything. We just need only listen. The remedies for repair or reclamation of any lost psychic drive are contained in stories. And the reason I brought her up is because she's quoted here and saying, today, contemplate the psychic path taken in this story. When reflecting on dreams of fairy tales, it's important to remember that all the characters are inner aspects of ourselves. You are not only the miller's daughter, but the miller, the king, the faithful servant, the baby, and Rumpelstiltskin. Even more important, you're both the straw and the gold. What do you think she means by this? And I have to just tell you, she's going to tell us more tomorrow. But when you think about that, let me know what you think about that. I mean, I was thinking about, I've said this to you before, we've talked in a couple entries about the roles that we play in our lives. And I can see what she's saying, because sometimes we could unintentionally be the villain, and sometimes we can be the hero, and sometimes we can be the victim. I have a kitty licking me, sorry. And sometimes we can be, you know, the person that's saved, or the person that is offering the saving. We've been talking a lot about various ways that life is kind of like blended all together in this journey, you know, and it's like we don't know what's gonna happen. We talked about that too. With stories, there's always a beginning and an end, though. And usually in the fairy tales, they lived happily ever after. I'm not sure about in this story. I'd have to remember, and Sarah doesn't tell us here. I don't know that the miller's daughter lived happily ever after. Hopefully she did. But it's kind of a tragic story in the end. But I think of Rumpelstiltskin too from Shrek. Did you guys see any of the Shrek movies? Because he's a villain in the last entry, I think the fourth Shrek movie. So he's really evil, and he takes over the far, far away, it's called, which is the fairy tale land. Anyway, that's just an aside. So tomorrow we'll be back and we'll talk more about, the name of it is called The Golden Storehouse of the Subconscious Mind. And just a little preview, I'll give you a little tidbit of tomorrow. I started reading the beginning and was like, oh, this is the one I remember. Sarah says that Rumpelstiltskin is actually the subconscious mind of the miller's daughter. So be prepared for mind blown tomorrow. Hopefully I'm not like building it up too much. But anyway, we'll continue our talk about Rumpelstiltskin. But in the meantime, give this one some thought and think about what spinning straw into gold means in your own life. Do you think you can make something from nothing? We have been talking about being an artist and bringing forth gifts, and you can't do it without taking the first step, right? And sometimes the first step is figuring out what that is and what you want to do. Hopefully you're seeing a little bit of a tie-in with Sarah's principles and the things that we've been talking about. And I will see you back tomorrow as we continue on with our continuation of Rumpelstiltskin and talking about the subconscious mind. And there's a lot that we could be talking about with that. So hope to see you then, and thanks for watching. Bye-bye.